Hey, good evening, and welcome back to the Soak Channel. That's SOAK, Son of a King, Son of the Most High God. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for logging back into the channel. I'm so glad to be here. I'm thankful to God to be here once again. Just want to talk to you all about something just briefly as we continue to look to God for any and all things. You know, maybe some of you all can relate to this here. I know, people usually talk about their mom, right, and their father, right, and how many of y'all can attest to loving your mother and your father, right? One of the first things that you typically do when you're on a roller coaster ride or a ride at the at the fair or anything, we used to scream. We used to be like, "Mama!" Right? That's one of the first things that you typically do, or one of the things when you were younger you would do. You would scream out, "Mama!" And things of that nature. Unfortunately, you even saw it in the death of George Floyd, right, where he was screaming out for his mother, which is very unfortunate. You don't really typically hear people screaming out for their fathers, and typically, no matter how bad a guy is and how tough he is, he always has that certain level of respect for his mom, or his mother, right? And you have respect for your fathers, for the good fathers at least, that's trying to do something for their children and or doing something for their children, but you typically don't hear too much about the fathers, right? But again, you have some of them that you love, or you talk about and so forth, because they've been very influential in your life, right? And so I've lost my mother when I was a little younger. I lost my father as well. I lost my surrogate mother, my aunt, not too long ago. I said that several videos ago, talking about her. And after a while, there's a lot of times I think about them. I don't know if there's a day that goes by that I don't think about them. And so, it's hard, or it can be hard sometimes, and you just love them so much, right? Especially when you start thinking about the things that they did, and maybe if they're still here, the type of relationship that you have with them, right? And there's a lot of love that's there. Even when it comes down to your kids, right? You love your kids, and most, I know you mothers especially, that's my baby, I kill somebody for my baby, things of that nature, because you love them, right? And that's pretty much any parent. I mean, that travels over all types of things, such as animals as well. You can see the love of a mother lion or lioness, and her cubs, or a bear and her cubs, and birds and their babies and things of that nature, or ducks. I watch a lot of National Geographics a lot of times, and I like to watch, and see how they react. Cats and things of that nature, how they respond to their children, right? And we all have children in one way or another, to some shape, form, or degree. Like, I have a lot of godchildren, as I mentioned a lot on here, and I love them dearly. And I'm sure many of you who have children and grandchildren and things of that nature, you love them, right? You almost would die for them, or you pretty much would die for them, And that's a love that, it's an unconditional type of love, right? And so I wanted to just say something and leave something with you today, because it's very important. And I just opened up the scriptures and I was thinking about it, and I was like, wow, that's pretty deep. And so when we're talking about loving our mothers and fathers, and we know what type of bond that we have with our mothers and fathers, especially the mothers, and we know what type of bond that we have with our children, right? You look at your children and you kind of see a reflection of yourself, and you just so happy. I always said to myself, I if I ever had any kids and things of that nature, I just like, I think my biggest thing that I would like to see is that, the fruits of my labor had paid off, and that they got it, meaning that, I knew that they would be all right, even though they may have problems here and there. But overall, you just want to look at your children one day and just be like thinking, if I left here tomorrow, he or she would be okay based off of the fruits of my labor, And so again, that's a love that's pretty much it's unconditional, right? Well, I wanted to say this here because this is what God says about that. And I want to talk about briefly why he's saying that. This is in St. Matthew, okay? And it starts at Matthew 10 and 37. And it says, "He that loveth his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." Why is God saying that? Or why do I believe God is saying that? Why? Because who do you think gave you your mother and father? Who do you think gave you your children? Scripture talks about children being a gift to you, right? So that means that we cannot love our mother and father, nor can we love our children more than we love God. I know that sounds crazy to say, right? But it's the actual truth. Why would we love them more than the person that created them or the person that had given them to us? We have to try to begin to wrap our mind around this type of thinking. I had to wrap my mind around it, asking God why he took my mother and father and my aunt and things of that nature. I had to wrap my head around that. And the fact of the matter is, even though I love them, God always loves them more, right? Scriptures talks about God not putting no more on you than you can bear. Okay? So whatever it was or whatever there was that they were dealing with, I'm not sure, it was just time for them and God was calling them home. So what do I have to do? Well, what did I have to do? I had to reconstruct my mind, right? Scripture talking about renewing the mind, renewing your thinking, right? He says that he who loves his father or mother more than me, he who loves his son or daughter more than me, is not worthy of me. That's deep. That is very deep. So, what do we have to do? We have to focus on God. As I continuously say on all my videos just about, we have to focus on God. I have friends who have children, a couple of my friends I have their children are my God children. And I see the love that they have for them, and I see that they would do anything for them. Well, remember in the beginning I said that, a lot of times you would say that, I died. That's my child. Well, I killed my child. Well, you got to renew your thinking and be willing to die for God. That means nothing comes before him. Nothing comes before him. And why does God say it, mother and father? Because it ain't too much in this world, I think. Well, let me not say that. You should love more than your mother and your father. Right? These are the people that brought you into this world. Okay? Shouldn't be anything that's materialistic and things of that nature. Now, of course, once you get married, okay, now, you kind of, maybe you love your wife, but I don't think there should be any greater love, right? Love is love, right? But feelings, right? You may have a stronger feeling for one person than another. Like, you may have stronger feelings for your mother than you do for your father. That's generally kind of the way it goes for the most part, right? But you shouldn't treat anybody any different, right? It's okay to have favorites, I would say. And what I mean by that is, well, if you got a child that's doing everything that they're supposed to do, you're more likely to be more partial to that child, right? Then you may have the other child who's, just seem to can't get right, right? But again, you love them both the same, right? Don't treat them any different, but you just may be partial to the other child simply because they seem to have it together, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so, I would deem that as, parents and loved ones and things, you're allowed to have favorites, I think so. But again, don't treat anybody any different, when you do for one, you do for the other, So let's focus in on that. Let's try to, focus on a renewing of our minds and making sure that we are not loving those entities more than we're loving God. For after all, He is the one that has blessed us with those mothers and fathers, right? Our children and things of that nature. Okay? Let's keep focus on that. I'm going to leave that with you right there. I got another video that I'll be making coming up. Let's focus on God more. Let's make sure that we don't have anything above Him. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I love you. Let's get closer to God. This is the Soak Channel. That's SOAK, Son of a King, Son of the Most High God. We'll see you next time. Peace.